Episode 13 of Survivor, 14 of the podcast.
Does it feel like it's been 14 episodes of the podcast?
No, not at all.
No,
It doesn't. I feel like it's been a lifetime though since I've been with you guys.
it has been a lifetime since you've been here for us to do a live one or one together anyways.
I'll be doing 14 tonight of ours.
Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, because you guys skipped. You were ahead of us, but you skipped a week.
Correct. And we're starting a new series tonight.
Yeah, little plug. Him and Russ are going to start a UFC
That's fun.
podcast to discuss those stuff. Aunt Karen might like those. We'll have to make sure we send those to her because she likes the UFC stuff. She knows the people.
She listens to them on the way home from work, so make sure you do send them to her because she'll listen to them.
You can just... I could give her your number, and you could have her number, and you could text them to her. She can, because she doesn't know how to search them, but that could put in a can of worms.
Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll
All right.
My people will be in touch with you, Karen.
Okay, episode 13 was called The Penultimate Step of War.
Does anybody know what penultimate means?
No.
No.
It means like second to last.
Oh.
Okay. That makes sense.
Next to last.
Yep.
Well, it's kind of anticlimactic now. Let me know what
Jillian,
it
you're
means.
the penultimate kid.
No, I am. I'm the second to last kid. She was the last
We're
kid.
talking about favoritism here.
Oh. Well,
Funny.
whose favorite?
It all depends on the day.
True. Okay, so this started with Koru, night 29. Michelle was happy that Germy was still there, but pissed that now everyone knows about her advantage. Because remember, she gave the advantage to Germy. He didn't use it, but people knew. And
but did they know that she gave it to him, though? See, I thought maybe they didn't know that.
No, they didn't, but they found out at Tribal, basically.
I think it was discussed, yeah.
It's pretty obvious they were like eyeing each other while he was debating on whether or not to use it.
I'm like, gonna use it. So Germy called it Groundhog's Day for the third time. He's like, for the last 3 tribal councils, I've went thinking I'm gonna be voted off. Something happens. I come back here and everyone's mad. Or people are mad. Right. He keeps being the target constantly. So I understand that. So he did give the 50-50 coin back to Michelle.
Which I figured that was going to happen.
Yeah. And then Germy and Michelle are talking and they're like, all right, who do we trust? At this point, like everyone has like backstabbed them.
Because she's been as much on the bottom as he has the last few weeks. The difference is Ben is a driving force with his alliance
to get him
to get
out.
Germy out.
Yeah. So now Koru, day 30. Denise kind of had her almost like awakening a little bit. She said like, I am done dealing with things the way I've been dealing with them. I'm not going to be anybody's pawn anymore. And she said she's never been one for tattoos, but now she thinks she wants one for each wrist. And she was writing on a piece of like driftwood there, a sign, and it said endure on one side and let go on the other. Endure the things you can get through, let go of the things that you can't. So it's kind of like an empowering thing for her to finally be like, I'm being walked all over. Let's change things a little bit here.
In her defense, too, like she took flack because she snapped at Germy and said, I'm done. And everyone took that as she was done with the game. And
she was done discussing it. She just wanted to vote that night.
She wasn't done with the game. She was just done. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like 4 different decisions being made before Tribal and then 4 different people's names thrown out during Tribal. She was just done with it.
Yeah.
I really like her. I do. I just hope that didn't put a target on her back in that type of way. She's a very strong player right now. Yes, she got rid of Sandra, whatever. That was discussed, I think, during that whole thing again. Like, I agree with the fact that she needs to go because she is tougher than I think she was last time.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't give a shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I like her a lot. I feel like she could go far.
There's times she's super bitchy to me.
Yeah.
And there's times I'm like, she's got to go because her head's getting too big. I voted Sandra out. And so she thinks that. But other times it's like that, like, I don't know. It's just hard. She's one of those people I'm not sure.
Like, I like that. I was like, yeah, like, that's a great thing for you. Like, let go, or what was it again?
Endure.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even talk about the Sandra thing if I were her. No. I would just throw that card in my back pocket. So if I got to the final 3 and I had to plead my case, that would be your ace in the hole.
Yeah.
Well, because she kind of always drives that home. And
yeah, it's kind of old news.
Yeah.
This was just a funny scene that kind of happened that Germy and Tony were arguing about how many weeks is 9 days.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
So Tony kept calling it 2 weeks because he's going by 5 days being in a work week.
Right.
And it still wasn't 2 weeks because it was only 9 days.
9 days. But he's saying it's closer to that. And Germy and him had a little tiff about it. It was just something funny that happened. Then Tony in a private interview was just talking.
Huge yawn.
I know.
In a private interview, Tony just said that Germy works hard, but I work smart.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that Jeremy's kind of working hard trying to get to the end there, but by doing so, he's kind of putting a target on his back, where Tony's trying to work smart and kind of maneuver around things. And Tony really wants to keep Germy around to protect himself. It's kind of been his
That's always been his game.
Whole game plan this time has been a shield. I need someone to shield me so I don't look like I'm being this macho player. So Tony and Sarah, they formed their alliance 6 years ago in whatever season that was. I can't remember right now.
The Police Alliance.
Yeah, Cops Are Us.
Cops Are Us. That's what it's called.
And Tony betrayed her at that time. They made the alliance, then he voted her out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to make good this time on it, and they are, because they do have a similar mindset, both being cops.
Outside of this, like they're friends outside.
Yes, yeah. So Sarah suggests that the final 3 should be Ben, herself, and Tony.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben doesn't want to keep Germy around as protection, and that's what Tony keeps trying to drive home. I need him as my shield.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah then is talking, maybe we should vote Nick out. And so Sarah discussed with Ben the numbers. She's basically talking to him, trying to give him a choice between what they should do. Do we vote Nick out over Germy? And just talks to him. She's like, I'm not pressuring you into it. I want to just tell you what I'm kind of thinking.
Right.
So Ben ends up thinking his idea, oh yeah, we should vote Nick out and keep Germy as our protector. So it was really good psychology she used, because she made him think that it was like her idea or his idea, that he came up with this. So it was really good to kind of trick him into voting with her.
Good psychology.
Even though he didn't want to.
You don't want somebody to get the mentality that someone's controlling the game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let somebody else drive their decision, then they don't think that you're the one trying to control the game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So day 30 was just a lot of talking. Not a lot really happened. So now we're to day 31, and it's the immunity challenge. So they had to race with this ball. They toss up over this contraption, run underneath it, catch it. And then once they completed that, was it twice they had to do that? Once.
Yeah,
Twice. There was 2 balls.
Yeah.
Because they took both of them and put them in the box next to the next step.
But do they only have to do that once?
No,
there was 2.
2
okay.
balls, yeah.
Then they had to dig under this bar and then complete a slide puzzle.
Yes.
So there's a lot, and it was all kind of different components put together.
Mm-hmm.
The winner again gets 2 fire tokens. So Jeremy, then Denise, then Nick, and then Ben, they all kind of get 1 ball pretty easy.
Yep.
And then Jeremy gets his second ball pretty quick. He was the first one to get through. Then Nick kind of follows through and gets the second one. Then Jeremy's the first to get under the bar.
Yep.
And then Ben, Sarah, and Tony, they finally kind of catch up and get under. Denise finally gets through. Michelle didn't catch 1 single ball.
Not a single ball. I wouldn't have left there until I did.
I know. I felt so bad for her.
I felt bad for her because she's just not that type of athletically inclined. It was almost like that football drill. Get high knees going through. So you got to throw the ball up, try to do high knees, not fall on your face, and get there to catch the ball.
Yeah.
It's not easy. She's short. So, I mean, I'm shocked Denise did it. Denise is a little more agile, I think, just athletically built.
Oh, I felt so bad for her.
So when they get to the slide puzzle, I don't really understand slide puzzles. Like that's not one of my, it's not one of my forte, but Nick, like all of a sudden it was like, it was done. Like it happened like super fast. So Nick wins immunity. He gets 2 fire tokens.
They put a dent in everybody's plan because he was going to be the target.
Exactly. He was their target.
Which that always happens. It always does that way, I feel like.
Yep.
I know. So Michelle starts crying because she couldn't catch one ball.
Which I get frustrated. I totally get
I got it. Yeah, I understood. And then it cut to Denise, like in a private interview, saying, "What's plan B going to be?"
Right.
Because they already were kind of set on doing Nick, and then he wins immunity.
Right.
So it kind of threw a wrench in everyone's plans. So then we go back to camp. And now everyone's scrambling a little bit because they got to figure out what the hell are we going to do. Mm-hmm. So Ben throws out Denise's name, which was weird because they're pretty close. Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen Denise sitting there, like, kind of rubbing Ben's arm and, like, stuff. Like, Ben
has to do something right now, though, because he's one step below Sophie, who just was riding coattails. No. Same with Sarah, and they were riding each other's coattails.
I know, but
Ben hasn't done anything. He doesn't. He even mentions at one point that he doesn't have a fire. He has 1 fire token.
Yeah.
He's never done anything to get another fire token.
Yeah. But this is where Ben tries to start doing something. He starts trying to stir the shit pot a little bit. He wants to try to pit Germy against Michelle. Mm-hmm. And kind of they want to wedge between them because they know that they're close. So he tells Germy to get that 50-50 coin from Michelle so they can vote her out.
Yep.
Germy doesn't trust Ben, saying Denise, he knows they're close. And then it cuts to Ben then telling Michelle, Germy will ask you for your
He's going to coin. Ask you.
Yeah, just wait and see. He's going to ask you. And she's like, I'm not giving it to him.
Because it was the last night. She could actually play it, too.
Yeah, with 7 people. And she's like, I'm not. He's like, no, but watch. He's going to ask for it. So he's just trying to be the puppet master right now, which isn't really working in his favor. Yeah, so like, immediately.
Allison.
Exactly. Immediately, Michelle and Germy know what Ben's up to. So Germy and Michelle talk and they want to get Nick and Tony to vote Ben. Because at this point, they know Ben's trying to make a move. So they're trying to do the smart thing and say, look, this is what's going on. We got to get him out. So Germy tells Tony to vote Ben. You know Tony's not going to do it.
I know.
You just know he's not. Mm-hmm. So Tony then runs to Ben and tells Germy's plan in front of Nick. And I don't remember if Germy had mentioned Nick's name to Tony, like that he was going to get him to vote too. But so Tony's telling Ben the plan that Germy was trying to get him out right in front of Nick. And so then they are going to get Germy. So here, Nick has control.
It was up to him.
You now know both sides of what is going on.
His vote was literally the swing vote.
Yep.
No, they still needed Tony. There's 7.
Yeah, but they knew how Tony was going to vote. Nick knew how Tony was going to vote.
Yeah. So
he was going to side with Ben.
Yeah. Hold on. Gotta make sure I'm on the right page here. I got like so many pages of notes. So Sarah doesn't trust Nick, and she thinks he might flip. Which we kind of assume too. So, they could have tied it because they split the vote. That's right. So what they did is they had Sarah and Denise, when they're still talking, they were like, Sarah and Denise, you guys are going to vote Michelle. So if they play that 50-50 coin, they didn't know who was going to play it.
Yeah.
Or who they were going to play it for.
Right.
So they had Sarah and Denise voting Michelle. They had Nick, Ben, and Tony voting Germy. And then Germy and Michelle wanted to vote Ben, obviously. Mm-hmm. So if Nick did go with them,
he was the rocks. No.
He would have. Ben would have went home.
But if Michelle had played the 50-50 coin for Germy instead of herself,
then Germy, or then
it would have went to rocks.
Would have went to rocks. But yeah. So Nick could have flipped and decided everything and changed it up, but he didn't.
Yeah. And then Michelle, for the first time, was like, other than like talking about Wenny and Wendell, she actually was, this is the most like fire I've seen out of her, like personality. They get back and she's sitting on the beach and Nick comes down and she says, I wonder if you're going to have the balls to come down here and talk to me.
Yeah, no, it was good to see that kind of fire in her. We kind of got a little ahead of ourselves. So that was all before tribal. Now we're at tribal. So we know what happens, but now we're at tribal. That wasn't mirroring to tribal yet. That was all shit that happened before. So it just basically, Michelle felt very vulnerable at the challenge, but she was trying not to think about what other people were seeing, just focus on herself, which we get. I understand why she was upset. Ben states that the truth comes out when you're hungry and tired, which I do feel that you kind of, the beginning of the game, you can kind of schmooze people a little bit more. And then eventually it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm exhausted. I have to just be myself. Sarah states that the game is way more personal this time than it had been in the past. And I think it is because
you know everyone going in, basically. I mean,
yeah, you're not meeting new people.
Exactly. It wasn't anybody new to the game.
Yeah.
Nick felt like people are being more truthful this time, and I feel people are too. There's been blindsiding going on voting wise, but I feel like within the game itself, they're making real connections. People aren't lying that way. Like before, there's been people lying about what their jobs are and who they are.
Shouldn't be any. I mean, they're all winners. They should know how to play the game well. So it's kind of tough to do those things.
Yeah.
And get away with it.
Yeah. Germy said the game is personal, but you have to be able to play with a balance to it and still play the game. And I feel like sometimes people take stuff too personally. And I'm sure I'd be that person in the game.
Oh, hell yeah, you would.
Shut up.
She'd be throwing out the middle finger to everybody when she got voted out.
Tyson did that. That's why we've been a good match.
PG. I was just going to say something, but I was going to say what you do normally say, but just kidding. I won't go there.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
I had my finger going and PG. Family crowd.
Yeah, family show. Ben said it's an emotional and tactical crossroads. You're talking about your kids and your families, but you're also going to stab somebody in the back. And this was an interesting part of tribal. And then Michelle brought it up, and then I think Jeff kind of asked other people. Michelle said it was hard the first time she played when she won. It was hard to go home and trust people because so much of the game of Survivor is deceit and how much you withstand that way. And Ben even said he remembers going home the first time and not trusting his wife
for a while.
And his wife is the one that kind of saved him. He went through some PTSD stuff after he came home from the war. Yeah. And that was the person that saved his life. And then now it's like he comes home and he doesn't really trust her.
I feel like it wouldn't happen, but I really don't know. You know, like
Germy said when he went home, it was 3 months the first time because he played. He said this was his third time playing, I believe. When he went home the first time, it was 3 months. Wow. He didn't trust anybody. And Nick said for him, he was the most recent winner. He was 2 or 3 seasons ago, which is just a year and a half, you know? So he said it was hard to come back so quick. And the social relationships are what are hard because it is so hard to trust. And Tony basically said you have to look at everyone as soldiers to march forward with. Then they asked Michelle about the 50-50 coin. And all she said was, I expect it to be played tonight. But didn't say like, I'm going to play it or Jeremy's going to play it. Or
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
How do you not play it?
And then Germy did say that Jeff asked him, are you nervous tonight? He said, Jeff, I'm nervous every time I come here and see your face.
On the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't had an easy tribal. So Michelle did play the 50-50 coin. She flipped it.
She had to.
It was super cool to see it work. Yeah. You know, I was hoping it was going to be safe.
Practice that. Not that you really can practice, but remember she tried to
She did, but it came out even. She got safe once, not safe another.
I hope so, because she spent, 6 fire tokens on that, or 4? Yeah. 4?
Something big. Yeah, 4. That was
4.
That was one of the original cells, and it was 4.
Yes. That was 4. Tony's disadvantage was 6. And then what we have the next episode is 8.
Yeah.
That one that happens. Shocker, 15th person voted out was Germy.
I know.
Loses. I went back, had another person go to the edge.
It's all right.
And he gave his 2 fire tokens to Michelle, which I was not shocked about at all.
We all knew. I know.
Yeah.
Not
So luckily it was a 2-hour episode, so we have a whole nother episode to get through still. So they go back to camp. Ben said tribal was very intense, which I don't know why he felt that way. Like he knew what he was gonna do. But
it was only the first time someone voted for him though.
True. Yeah, first, yeah.
Like when he first, like he was a little shocked, like who voted for me. He's trying to figure it out. He looked immediately at
Are
Tony.
you really shocked?
Yeah, I mean,
really.
Him, Sophie, and Sarah have been trying to just ride eating the gravy train to the end.
Ben tells Tony that he really appreciates it, and that's when Tony's like, "No, dude, I'm telling you, I'm loyal to you." Ben and Tony are talking, and they say Michelle needs to go next, but they also want to get Nick out too. So they're kind of at that crossroads.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I think Nick's a smart choice to get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Ben is a smart choice to get out because, first of all, if it gets to the end, Ben can make fire if he has to.
Yeah. Right, and they do bring that up.
I mean, Nick really hasn't done much either, right?
No. So this is when you said Michelle is pissed at Nick. So he comes down. The incident happens where she's like, "What the hell is our plan now? What do you expect to do? Because they're not going to keep you.
Right.
That's their final 3. So where does that leave you?"
Right.
He's like,
have the numbers.
He's like,
Dumbass.
Doesn't, yeah.
Like he just, I don't know what the hell he was thinking. So Nick wants to vote Ben next because Ben's very emotional. He is when he plays, I feel like, this game. And Michelle's telling Nick, that's great that you want to vote him. We are at the bottom. Who are we going to get to vote with us to vote him out?
Right.
What are we going to do? There's 2 of us. But Michelle's like, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to scrap and fight and try to get myself out of where I'm at. And we'll see what happens.
She mentioned she's painting like a jar or a cup or something with the paint they have at camp. She mentioned something to Sarah, who runs right back to the whole group, and I was like, oh, she's really trying.
Yes, telling her this. She told Sarah, I'm basically next. But what she's saying isn't false, though.
No,
Michelle tells Sarah, you can't beat Tony at the end. There's no way.
Right.
And again, Sarah runs right back, like you said, and tells. It just pisses me off. Like, if somebody tells you something, take 5 minutes and digest it before you're like, blah, 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 regurgitating word vomit.
The only person that's beating Tony right now at the end would be Tyson if he gets back in the game, because he's gone to extinction twice and he's won challenges. Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, you've gone to extinction twice.
Or if Natalie comes back.
Or Natalie.
Because Natalie had 14 freaking coins, we end up finding out here shortly.
But I said to Allie, I'm like, Natalie could win this too, even though she literally was the first one at extinction. You think about what she's done at Extinction Island.
And because the people on the
jury, like she has done it all.
She's done more from extinction than some people have. They're still sitting there.
The people on the jury too, that's what the real hard part of this game is, when there's the edge, because you're on that island with the jury.
Right.
So they know what she's done. So that way Natalie can basically talk to them and be like, I was there with you.
Yeah.
I know how hard it was for you there. You saw what I did. I clawed my way back. So she'll have her or Tyson, either one of them, because he's been there twice, or her, if either one of them get back in, they have a really good story picture at their final tribal. So Sarah runs back to Tony and says Michelle has to be next.
Yeah, the whole group is sitting there. Yeah, they were just getting ready to pick them all off one by one.
Yeah. So now we go to the edge, day 32. Germy is there, obviously, says the edge sucks. You get this smallest little bit amount of rice, and they get a new note. Bear with me. Chicken scratch again, guys. Okay. Every day on Extinction requires tremendous drive, drowning in reserves to keep the dream alive.
Mm-hmm.
So an image for inspiration. It's of you all alone, sporting the crown of sole survivor, sitting proudly on the stone throne. And so everyone kind of like scurries off, thinking it has to be up top, it has to be here, it has to be there. So Tyson compared this to being a scene like when the cops show up at like a teenage party.
Yeah.
And people are drinking and everyone scrambles. Everyone just like splits up and runs
Jeremy's
away.
like, I don't know where I was going. I started following people because I didn't know where I was going. So we just started running.
So Rob and Danny kind of went out to the water. Like Rob was looking at something like out in the water.
There was a rock that was like just above the water surface.
And then Wendell went up the mountain thinking that there was something up there.
Wendell was really sure he knew where he was going.
Natalie knew.
Right where it was.
Right where it was.
Those rocks looked like a chair.
She found it on a rock on a beach, and she knew it. She's like, "This. It looks like a throne. I've been here for
since day
32 days. I know, or 30 days, whatever it was." So her note said, "This holds the power to place a disadvantage on one player at the next immunity challenge. You can challenge." Oh, you can charge as many fire tokens as you want to them.
Did she show everyone?
Sundown.
Didn't she show everyone, right?
Yeah. At first she was going to take it and she's like, I want to open it myself. And I just said, screw it. And she sat down right there and opened it.
Yeah.
So it cuts back to Koru and she sent it to Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And 8 fire tokens was the cost, which was good. They sent it to him because he already had 6 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle had the other 2.
And Michelle had 2. So, and whatever player he played it against would not know who sent it.
Right.
Which kind of really played into this because there was bad blood between Germy and Ben. So he thought it came from the edge. So Nick tells Michelle and Michelle's like, I got your tokens. I'll give it to you. We'll do this.
She had nothing else to lose.
We have to do it. It's our last chance to try to do this.
It was also the last day she could spend tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. They do tell them that at the end here, don't they?
Yep.
So now it's Immunity Challenge, day 34. They like to have stuff to have to step over this day. So they had these tall, skinny blocks, almost like a domino, like a larger domino shape.
They were 2x4, painted 2x4s.
Yeah, but they were just, like a domino shape.
Mm-hmm.
They had to stack them along this beam, but avoid the obstacle of stepping over stuff to be able to place them and not hit it and knock the whole thing over. And they had to be able to place the blocks far enough apart from each other that at the end, when you got them all lined up, you hit them, they acted like dominoes, fell down, and fell on the gong at the end. So you could do it and then not have it get there. And this was the last day to spend the fire tokens. Mm-hmm. So the disadvantage was 30% more beam and 30% more blocks you have to stack to get to the end. And it was played against Ben Shaka. And he thought it was from the edge because he made that comment. You heard him like whisper something.
Yeah. And then he even tried after the challenge to get Jeff to tell him.
Yeah.
And then Nick played it off. I don't know if Ben saw his face, but he was like, oh, wow. Like
so they're going right along. Michelle kind of got out into an early lead there, and Ben would get going and then he'd knock one. Mm-hmm. It would never hit. It only ever hit the one, but you had to go get that one, come back out, go back in with that one, put it back. Michelle ended up winning immunity.
God, I know. I love it.
And she was like so elated. She goes up to get her necklace. Jeff's like, come on up. Nobody clapped for her.
Right.
This was the plan.
Right.
And she said it right out loud, and everyone's like half-ass clapping for her.
Because it ruined their plan.
Yep. But if she's able to keep winning and get herself to that final 3, she has a chance of winning too, because she has been on the bottom for many weeks now. You got to think back to when her and Parvati were on whatever tribe it was they were on. And there was 3 guys, Wendell,
yes,
Jewel, and Nick. Those 3 were Three Musketeers, and Parvati and Michelle were there. They picked Parvati off. So she's been on the bottom,
almost
fighting her way back for a long time. And she's managed to, even though she didn't make a crazy big move, she's been able to nitpick and keep herself in the game. So she's another one. If she makes it to the end, she'd have my vote.
By the way, I think it was Tony was also close to winning that challenge. And when he didn't win,
he pushed his blocks.
And one of them came up short to knock it over like another block.
And he was measuring.
Yeah.
He would like place one, go back, come back, take it, which I don't think they were supposed to do. Because if one got knocked over, you had to do that. And he was taking one and laying it down to measure and then placing another block there.
Yeah, he came up short. One of his blocks fell and came up short, so he wouldn't have won.
Yeah. So now they go back to camp. Mm-hmm. And Denise starts her shit again. This is where I think I was kind of getting just irritated with her after watching it for 2 hours. Yep. I know I'm on the chopping block. Can we just really eat a big pot of rice? And I'll use my fire tokens that I have and buy a big bag of rice for you guys to have here before sundown.
She tried the...
But I bought rice.
Yeah, that tactic.
I bought rice. I can't remember that girl's name.
Yeah.
She was irrelevant. She didn't get a single vote at the end, so... Natasha? Is that her name?
Oh, I can't remember. We'll have to look it up later. So Denise is voting with Sarah, Tony, and Ben to vote Nick. Mm-hmm. But they're telling Michelle and Nick they're voting Denise. Mm-hmm. So again, it's when they're throwing Denise's name out, but it's like not believable. You know how close Ben and her are. There's no way they're going to vote her. So this is when Nick brings up that Ben can make fire.
Yeah.
To Tony and Michelle. Which Michelle, I think, totally already was on, like, kind of already thought that. Yeah. But Tony didn't. I really genuinely think he was like, when Nick said that. Tony, it comes down to you and Ben. There's no way you're beating him making fire.
Didn't Nick, the season he won, he got all those aisles at the end, but didn't he...
Ben, you mean?
Ben, but didn't he get to the end and volunteer himself to make fire?
No, Ben had to make fire.
Who did that? Somebody did that.
The guy from Last Edge of Extinction, Chris, I believe was his name, a mountain player. He's the one that came back from the edge, won immunity. Yeah. Immediately got into the final 4 or the final 3 or whatever and said, no, I'm giving that little skinny dude. He said, I got to do something to prove to myself I deserve to be here. He made fire to get in.
It's a huge resume builder, even if you don't have.
And then he won the game.
Yeah.
Because he gave up the necklace. So I think Tony contemplated a little bit, and then he goes to a spy nest.
Oh my God.
In the tree. And Denise is talking to Sarah and Ben about being in the final 3 with them and getting Tony out.
Spy nest worked.
Hello.
I know.
So now Tony wants to get Denise out, which I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And he's talking to Sarah about voting Denise. And then Sarah's kind of between Denise and Nick due to based on what they've done.
Right.
Now we go to tribal. Night 34. Michelle knew she was next to go if she didn't win. And she said to Jeff, I needed this like Jeff needs a blue button down and khakis.
That was great.
Sarah said, sometimes it's the pedal to the metal when you know you need it. So she was saying well, she knew if she didn't know, she maybe would have played so hard and she wouldn't have won.
Right.
Ben's still wondering who put the disadvantage on him. That's going to eat at him for a while until he watches the show.
Well, he knows now.
Yeah, true.
Nick says, knowing that someone is coming back from the edge makes the game harder to make your try to decide what's going to happen next because you don't know who's coming back.
Right.
It could help your game. It could hurt your game.
Could be somebody that's going to side with someone who's on the bottom right now.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Sarah says the other hard part about this game was you're managing your fire tokens, but also trying to remember everybody else's who has what for what they can buy, what they can do. Michelle said that the fire tokens for her gave her hope. When you have friends on the edge, it gives you hope because you get something when they leave, and it kind of gives you a little bit of hope from there. Like, okay, maybe I can do something with this. Maybe I'm gonna be able to do something. Ben, again, he fears who's coming back because it could ruin all the alliances that are happening right now. Tony said it's hard to determine the final 3 because you're forming bonds with multiple people. And I truly felt him and Germy could be friends in real life. Like he's a cop, Germy's a firefighter. They bust on each other, but in all good fun. And so I think it was hard for him to go, but he is so stuck in this alliance with Sarah.
Right.
That's what keeps coming back.
He needs to break away from her.
Yeah.
I think he needs to win.
So then Denise has to tell her sob story about the rice and the full belly of rice. Her gut intuition, I don't want to scramble. And this is when she pissed me off, I think, was this end of the episode.
Her boohoo story?
And so at this point, Nick says that, and Adam leans over and says, it's a fake out, right?
Yeah. The weasel.
Yeah. If he even caught on.
They have to own him. I'm sorry. He's mine. Ugh.
Yeah, he's all yours. You can have him.
I know.
Ugh. 16th person voted out. Nick. Dumbass.
Did to himself with the last one.
Had he not voted Germy out the last time and voted with them and voted Ben out, your ass would not have been going home.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. I
He
know.
spent
So go ahead and eat your crow because you're dumbass.
So, I mean, now he goes to extinction, which
He's like too gullible. I think that's what the issue is.
Yeah, but he's going to go to extinction with no fire tokens because he spent them all for the disadvantage on Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's going to be coming back from extinction this week.
Yeah.
And he cannot buy an advantage.
No, nothing. So he didn't have any tokens to give. Again, he spent them all. And he said I'll fight to the end, is what he said. So now we cut back to the edge, day 35. Okay. Parvati says, I'm never coming back to this island. So she's not had a good experience at the edge. So Amber's like, I've been here for a month. And there's times it dragged, but there's times it went really fast. Mm-hmm. She said she'll miss the view. She'll miss climbing to the top of the mountain to watch the sunrise. She said she really missed her kids. It was good to have Rob there. I think for them, it forces them to like not have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And just be away and find that peace. And so I think it was good in that respect. And then they got a note. The moment is here. Say farewell. Time to battle. Mm-hmm. So they got their papers again to be able to fill out if they wanted certain advantages for a certain amount of fire tokens or idols and all that stuff. So Rob hasn't. This is what we didn't realize. So if they bought an immunity idol the last time, they got to keep it.
Yeah, we didn't know that. That was a question. They never told us. Yeah.
So Rob has an immunity idol from the last challenge that he didn't win to go back in. Natalie had 14 tokens. So she bought peanut butter to give herself some energy. Mm-hmm. She has 3 advantages in the challenge. So I feel like she's got to almost be a shoo-in to win it because she has 3 advantages in the challenge to get back in.
Yeah, we don't know the challenges yet, but.
Then she had 6 tokens still left after that. She already had her idol from last time that she bought. So she can only take, was a stipulation, they can only take 1 idol back in the game with them. She bought another idol and she gave it to Tyson. Mm-hmm. So they must have formed a good bond. Being there, he got back in the game, got sent back to the edge. So I don't know if that was something that kind of put pity on her heart.
Huge Tyson's got a really good chance of winning that. He's got a great story. And if he ends up winning the entire thing, you probably should send a little bit of cash to Natalie because she just bought you an
And then
idol.
Tyson, when he said, like, Natalie gave me this, he got emotional.
It might be a $2 million idol.
But he got very emotional, and he just said, like, I'm not used to people being generous and giving in the game of Survivor.
Right.
nobody ever gives you something for nothing in this game. And she did. She gave him the idol. So, I mean, that was pretty cool. And then they kind of just did a recap of Natalie being the first one there and people getting
think
there
about
and
if,
all that stuff.
What if
and,
Natalie gets back in? She got a hell of a story from Extinction.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to think it sucks to be the first one voted out.
What she did secured one vote for herself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what she did.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, she got a vote from Tyson. I mean, it sucks being the first one this season to go because even the first like couple people voted out, like what are you voting off from?
Yeah.
You haven't really formed many.
She was voted off because her and Germy were friends.
Yeah.
that's what she was voted off at the beginning. She was a threat. Yeah.
Season finale.
But no, I thought it was a good episode. A lot happened. Nick pissed me off because he's so dumb. And again, I can make the same mistakes if I play the game. It's hard because you're not there. But seeing from the outside, Nick, you're getting played. You are getting played.
You should have known that anyway. Yeah.
But excited. 3-hour finale on Wednesday. Then we got a surprise for you all next week.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully we'll be able to have it set up where we can at least call the winner.
I know. I hope we can do that too.
Do a regular call like we used to do when we could all be together. We're going to try to get together for this one, even though we're still in quarantine and be safe and everything. But so if you win, you'll be hearing from us. Bye.